I followed my dreams and opened an antique store to have adventures and spend time as a family. Sometimes you have to climb a mountain and open some new doors to find the treasures inside. This is our life, this is our adventure, and this is Curiosity Inc. Hey guys, I am back for round 4. This time at the hoarder house. It's not really so much of a hoarder house anymore, it's just sort of a house in need of repair now. Decided to rent a van this go around. It is minus 40 degrees nearly with the wind chill. It's pretty darn cold. So I thought, well, I'm not going to take the ambulance and I needed a bigger vehicle as I've got to bring back the clothing this trip. There's quite a few people interested in the vintage clothes, so that's one thing that's got to come back. So I'm going to head over to the house, make sure everything's okay, start loading up clothes, and then tomorrow morning the furnace company is coming to clean all the air ducts out, and we can actually think about getting heat back on in the house for the first time in probably years. So looking forward to not freezing my butt off in that house. So let's go check it out and make sure everything's all right. Well, the first thing I see is that the charity company was supposed to be here a few days ago before the snow came. Never showed up. So that's kind of a disappointment because now everything is covered in snow that is meant to be given to charity and reuse. So I'll have to call them and find out what happened. That's a bit of a heartbreak. Yeah, so well, I'll go inside the house and check it out. Well, everything looks pretty much the same way I left it. And I think what I'll do is I'll draw up a little floor plan so you guys can understand the layout of this house, because I'm sure it seems like there's just room after room that doesn't make sense. So I'll try and walk you through. I'll do a little drawing here and insert it in the video. All right, so the main floor of the house is, well, it's a big rectangle. We have a front veranda. There's a front door right here. You go inside. They've replaced the original door with the screen door, which I'm not a big fan of. We've got a wall here, another wall there. Oops, I kind of gave it a wiggly wall. Probably more true to life. This is the staircase going up. There's another door right there, a wall. Let's see, something like this. So we have a kitchen here. There's kitchen number 2 there. There's a bathroom, and there's 2 living spaces here and there. So when you go upstairs, you have a bedroom in the corner, kind of like that. There's a washroom with the door here, another bedroom there, and we've got a couple other rooms basically on either side. Well, you get the idea. And then the stairs coming up. So there's 4 bedrooms, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the 4th bedroom, that is where you get up to the attic, upstairs. And then the attic is just a big empty room. But this is today's mission, is to try and get all of this clothing removed and out to the van, because it's taken up a lot of space. As you can see, almost this whole room is clothing, and this is all stuff that is possibly resellable. So I don't just want to give it away or throw it away. It's all 1950s, 60s, 70s kind of clothing. So there is a good demand for it. I'm going to get bags and start loading up. Whole bunch of National Enquirer from 1984. Look, Ronald and Nancy Reagan. Boy George reveals the secret he's hidden from the world. It's always interesting to see what was happening in the news. Well, this isn't really news, but happening in the papers back in the day. It's kind of cool. I'm finally getting down to the carpet in this room. Got a lot of the clothes out of the way. There's the old piano. Found a couple interesting things. A bunch of sculptures. A nice old Crosley radio. Few little odds and ends. The carpet itself, I'm really debating whether I should keep it. I mean, it's probably filthy, but I know it can be cleaned. But that's probably a nice carpet once it's all cleaned up. A lot of work went into that. And it's pretty big too. It's got to be about 10 feet by 8 feet. Or 10 feet by 6 feet. It's pretty big. So I might just see if I can't vacuum that up or sweep it up and save it. Well, I would say there's a definite improvement in how this room looks compared to what it looked like earlier. The pile of garbage in the corner, which I'll toss out tomorrow. But overall, you can walk around in here. So tomorrow the guys are coming to clean the ducts out, and hopefully we'll get some heat on so it's not so chilly in here. And now it's time to clean up the kitchen. I'm gonna start putting some things away, like this parrot, brass parrot that I found. We'll take some of the stuff back into the city with us. Some of this we can keep, and some of it's just gotta go. Well, this mid-century modern buffet has definitely seen better days. I'm gonna start cleaning off the top because there has been some rodent infestation here. So my voice is a little muffled because I'm wearing a respirator, not a dust mask today. And we are gonna try and clean all this up, make it a little bit more homey in here. So I got a fair bit of work done yesterday at the house. Got the one room cleaned out that needed to be cleaned out. Really had to uncover the last of the vents because this morning, and the main reason I'm out on this trip today, is that we're getting the furnace cleaned out, all the ducts cleaned, and they might have a few surprises. I was kind of joking that, you know, a cat might come shooting out or something. You never know what's going to be in there after 40 years or 50 years. So the furnace cleaning company's coming, and then we're going to try and turn the furnace on, and hopefully that thing's going to work and I won't have to freeze to death in that house anymore. But for now, it's time for breakfast at the motel, and then I'm back to the house. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the house. First things first, you'll notice I'm back to wearing a dust mask. The house really isn't that bad. In fact, I'm not wearing a mask at all right now because pretty well all of the stuff I was allergic to is gone. We have swept and vacuumed, we as in me today, but swept and vacuumed and cleaned. So there's really not too much of a hazard in here at all anymore. And after today, once we have the heater ducts all emptied out, we should be able to turn that furnace on and make it livable. I don't know if you can see the breath. That's what it was in the other video, was the fog, the frost from my breath coming out. That said, with turning the furnace on for the first time in a number of years, I have bought a carbon monoxide detector, which I'm going to plug in and put near the baseboard because the CO2, or carbon monoxide, I should say, not CO2. We need that to breathe. Carbon monoxide is going to set a little bit lower on the floor. So we're going to plug this guy in, and it'll detect in early stages whether we've got a bit of an issue here with the furnace. But all in all, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about it. But there are a few spots in the house which have me worried. So I'll kind of show you those points. Just give this guy a test, make sure it's working.
Warning, carbon monoxide. Monoxide de carbone.
Yeah. Seems to be working all right. And it speaks French. This thing is up one language on me. So we'll leave that plugged in, and you know, hopefully it doesn't go off once we get the furnace kicked in, but it's good to have it at least anyway. So one thing that's kind of strange, this house is about 100 years old, and we ripped out the carpet because it was gross and was expecting to find maybe hardwood floors underneath, but instead there's plywood. So at some point someone has done some renovations to this house, and it looks like they've removed the nice hardwood that was down here originally. So that's a bit of a bummer, but you know, at least we'll have a good base for putting new flooring down. The walls on the main floor generally are in decent shape. I mean, I should say the floors are solid. And considering we took 9 tons of garbage out of this house, it's surprising to me that it had the bones. It was built well enough that it didn't collapse into itself. But all the walls are straight. You know, I don't see anything for major stress cracks or concerns or issues on the main floor. There is a spot where the washroom is. It looked like they had a leak at one point. I don't know if that is going to persist or what's happening, so we'll probably have to cut the ceiling out and inspect what's going on under there. And I'm not really looking forward to it because when you see wet marks like that, it means there's probably water and buildup and hopefully not mold underneath, but we'll dig through that. That's kind of my the most concerning thing on the main floor is this wet mark in the ceiling where the washroom is. Other than that, kitchen will be cleaned out today at some point once the dumpster arrives. I'll be able to chuck a bunch of this garbage out and take some things with me. That is an original window to the home in the kitchen. And the second kitchen, which is around the corner here, is pretty well all original to the house, including the porcelain enamel stove, which is here. So it's got 2 kitchens, one really old one and one kind of mid-century modern. the old light switches. Old Ringer washing machine. See, there's the old window. That's the type of windows that should have been throughout this house. And at some point they've switched them out to screen doors. There's the old stove. So this section of the house is generally fairly original, including the washroom. Clawfoot tub, kind of funky green tile. There's the old window there. So this part of the house is original to the house. This is, 100 years old, still intact. But this area and the other one, I'll kind of back up so you can see 2 living rooms, one there, one here. In this room, again, it looks like slightly newer drywall, newer flooring at some point, and they have, we do have a couple little stress cracks down here, but nothing to be alarmed about really. It's, had a lot of weight in the house. So then I'll do the walkthrough upstairs. And yesterday I gave the stairs a bit of a sweep so they're not as bad as they were before, especially considering we used to have to climb over stuff to get upstairs. See, there's the original floor in the upstairs here. Continues into the rooms. They painted the floor in that room. This one's been stained at some point. But the upstairs is really original. We're looking at, 100-year-old house, so you can see the age of the house from the upstairs. So original window casings, original windows, lath and plaster walls. Still have to peel a lot of this paint back. There is some concerns for lead paint, so when we do come back in, we'll be wearing proper respirators to work on this. Luckily, there isn't much for linoleum down in any other parts of the house. This one just has sort of an area rug in there. That'll come out easy enough. So this is the room we're gonna start working through and cleaning things out. We can start to see some issues as we get into the 1 bedroom here. Now the roof on the house is new. For the most part, this is wallpaper that's peeling, but you can see there are some stress cracks that are kind of prominent throughout the house. So we're gonna have to really investigate. That one runs all the way to the window, and then it looks like it hits the window and then kind of continues down the other side here. Now, it's not necessarily, it's not great to see something like that, but I'm not totally concerned just yet because there is a possibility that the house was shifting. They've had the heat off. So there's lots of reasons why you might see cracks in a house like this. This house had 2 things that would contribute to cracks. One is it had 9 tons of garbage, and you normally don't have that kind of weight on your floor joists and on the structure itself. So that can cause the house to settle differently and more dramatically than it would otherwise. Also, the heat's been off for a couple of years, and when your heat's off, things shift and settle as well. So, we're gonna really have to see what this place looks like after we get some heat back on and see how the house adjusts to it. But overall, floors seem really good and solid. The walls are solid and upright. The doors open and close fine. So I don't think there's anything too major. And again, new roof, new furnace. So I think the bones of the house really aren't that bad, but there is going to be some work to be done. But while I wait for the furnace guys to show up, I have to do a lot more work bagging up some clothing, because that is part of my other goal today, is not just to get some cleaning done and hopefully get the heat on in this house, but to get a lot of the clothing, which has been piling up in rooms all around the house, back to the city, so that we can hopefully make a deal and get this stuff sold. So that's what I'm going to work on next, bagging more clothes. For someone who collects old clothing or vintage clothing or wears old clothing, you might find some at a thrift store, at a vintage shop. So for me to find an entire house full of old clothes, it's kind of like hitting the mother lode. That's why you have to be careful not to throw everything out or donate everything, because some pieces are still wearable. This fur jacket, for example, needs a little bit of cleaning, but someone would still wear it. It's not, that far out of fashion. It's kind of retro. There's all kinds of things in here, for floral dresses. And really, this is a great way to preserve the history of fashion from the 1960s and 70s by finding, collections like this. I say collections, it's an accidental collection because it was just kept. But overall condition on this stuff is really good because it's been in boxes or stored. So that's why we're bringing this stuff back.
runs like this for a second to clear out any possible gas in the chamber. These new furnaces are a lot safer. And then you'll see it try to, but if it can't get gas, it won't even go. Then you'll know if the gas is off. It might be turned off somewhere else too. Like somebody knew the house was left or not in it, they might have dropped the gas to the whole house. This is the valve coming in, those both sides. So wherever this pipe goes outside.
Okay.
I just want to see if it's going to fire, because if it'll fire, then happy days.
How long is it going to take?
This will take a 30-40 seconds, and then it'll...
Well, at least you know what you're doing.
Oh, I've been doing this for a lot of years. And the diagnostics on these are always the same. Next year, it's all the material that falls out when I want to get it. But this goes right to the basement, so I can actually get it from the basement. But I just wanted to I don't want to access it downstairs, and I'll get most of that from
Well, we've not had any luck getting the furnace going. We're just waiting for a guy to come by and have a look at it. In the meantime, I'm bagging up clothing. There's everything from kind of Mandarin collar dresses, kind of 1970s looking patterns. Every room kind of has almost a different era, from 60s and 70s and 80s. And one of the rooms is more kind of 40s and 50s stuff. So I'm bagging up what I think I can resell. And you'd think, well, I would have made some progress. I do have a whole bunch of bags here, but my van that I rented is almost full. It's amazing how many clothes were in this house. But I'm going to keep going and start packing everything up. What's this? Oh. It's a Pac-Man sleeping bag. Oh, that's kind of neat. It's actually in pretty good shape. Somebody would probably want that. I'll bring that back with me too. In the basement, hard to say what kind of shape the foundation's in. I don't see any major cracks down here. And last time I was here, I showed you there was a secret room and I didn't really go in it. So I'm going to go in there. Got to turn my light on here. If the rest of the house is built as well as this little room is, so you can kind of move this out of the way. There were a couple, I mean, there's an old Kirby vacuum. That's an old timer. And then a kind of a funky little trike, kid's tricycle. It's a tiny one. All right, guys. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for you guys. Ugh. Okay. I'm in. No such luck with the switch on there. Okay, you can kind of stand in here. That's the bicycle. Oh yeah, it looks like they did extend their frames on their own. Has a bit of a tank on it. Maybe it's a Schwinn or something. It's been painted. It's hard to tell, but it has kind of a little gas tank on it. It's kind of cool with the banana seat. These are the wagons. Okay, there's a really old wooden one right there. I thought that was a pedal car wheel. Yeah. But it's not. Storm windows. Screens and doors. No Harley Davidson. No old motorcycles or trunks full of treasure. But there is a wagon, and somebody was saying the Sunbeam electric lawnmower is kind of a oddball piece, because I guess I didn't make them very long, so apparently that's worth saving. Oh, that's an electric fireplace, like an old fireplace there. Weed whacker. Alright, I'm going to climb my way back out of here. That's all there is. That's the only way in here. And I don't see... somebody said this might be a coal chute, but I don't see a coal chute. I was looking above my head to see what's up here. Lots of lumber and trim pieces. Chunks of wood. Looks like old banisters. That might come in handy. Oh, actually, hang on. There is kind of a little chute in the wall. Maybe there was something more down here at one point. I don't see a coal chute's usually pretty big though. But this little bunker here, oh geez, it's full of spider webs everywhere. I'm gonna get back out of here. It's kind of an oddball thing right there. I haven't spent too much time in the workshop area. You can see I have a lathe. That's pretty cool. Looks complete. A little table saw. Workbench with power. It's old primitive punch. So I'll have to climb back, come look around here a little later on. If I'm not mistaken, that is the original front door for the house hidden back there, which I might just have to put back on. And windows. Oh. I'm gonna go back upstairs. So that front door would have been right there where they put a screen door, which, you know, you don't actually have an entrance to your house anymore. You just have a big screen door. So I'm going to see if I can get that back on at some point. Let's see how much clothing we fit in the van so far. My goodness. A sea of vintage. Most of this is 60s and 70s. I would have thought there would have been more from the 40s and 50s given the age of the people that lived here, but maybe it was the 60s and 70s they decided to start keeping things. So that's a pretty full load. Boy. This has kind of been the story of the house. There's garbage and then there's treasure. So woven basket, nice piece. Some more pottery, including a nice little flower that she did. So I am turning up a few more interesting things. We are going to have to wait on the furnace as it is frozen. Yes, the furnace is frozen, so they're gonna come back tomorrow, and we're thawing it out with some heaters right now. Now the furnace is only a few years old, but it is it's been turned off for, well, you know, 2-3 years. So even though it's in fairly new condition, it is frozen and not working. So we're heating it up with a little ceramic heater, try and thaw things out so this thing will start again. Then hopefully we'll have heat in the house. But sadly, no heat this go around. Well, I think I found the oldest thing in the house. Possibly. Fossils. There's a couple of them there too. I have to bring these guys back. That's pretty cool. Like a trilobite or something. I'll have to look that up and see. It's not coming to mind right now. I'll go through the old cupboard here. A belt from Las Vegas with some hand tooling. Looks like there's, this is the room that skull came out of, and it looks to me like there's some other fossils in here. Another fossilized bone. That's a pretty big one. I mean, look at the size of my hand compared to that thing, so I have to be gentle with it, though. It's a little fragile. I'm going to set that back in the drawer for now. Some more pottery. Oh, Kellogg Sugar Pops. That's got to be a pretty old box. Well, it's French-English, so probably from the 60s or so. There, it helps it's dated 1974. And what was cool at the time? One free groovy totem inside. Collect them all. That's funny. It's gone. They didn't even leave the totem inside. There's another box. Oh, Mr. T. Exciting offer. What does it come with? Comes with the Mr. T growth chart. Hey kids, measure yourself up to Mr. T with this 6-foot-tall Mr. T growth chart. Oh, that's kind of funny. That's not in there either. I pity the fool that's going to eat this cereal, if there's any left. Thankfully, it's empty. Yeah, that's neat. Probably somebody out there who'd want a box of Mr. T cereal. You know, I don't want to sound like a hoarder myself, but I don't think I'm going to throw that out because somebody might think that's cool. And how often do you find a box of Mr. T cereal anymore? Neat. And there has been just a ton of leaded glass crystal around. I mean, I've probably got boxes and boxes, and it is actual genuine crystal too. So that will find a market somewhere. Leave it boxed up because it's protected for now. This kind of scares me, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna open up the fridge. Ugh. This room, by the way, is a room that nobody had been in probably 30, 40 years, so. And what's in the fridge? Whoa! You thought you had bad frost in your freezer. Look at this. That's a solid chunk of ice. I should be careful when this starts to thaw out because I'm going to have a big leaky mess in here. What else is in here? Mystery saran wrap stuff. Some gross sludge. Plum pudding. Some bits and pieces. Oh, look. A stubby Molson Canadian. And it is a block of stubby ice right now. Still sealed. I'm going to close that back up. I think this thing will be priority to get this out of the house because I don't want it to start leaking all over the place when it starts to thaw out. I think I'm going to head up to the attic while there's still daylight and I can see up there. It's kind of cool because you open the closet door and there's clothing, which I have to bag up too. But then there's a secret door to the side and that's what goes up to the attic. And I haven't really looked around too much up here yet. So I'm going to actually get some bags and start digging. Now I'm looking for a couple specific things, looking for a couple things up here that I saw once before. One was a box of really old patterns. That's a box of cork. Somewhere up here is a box of patterns. And I have a customer who wants me to bring those back. It's all the old hats. This is certainly going to be another, clearing out this attic is going to be another adventure because it is packed full of stuff. And you would think this is where the older stuff is going to be. Oh, there's the patterns right there. You can get to them. Move some of this stuff out of the way. Now, somebody had mentioned this, the old needlepoint. Maybe I should bring this back with me too. Looks like there's quite a bit of it. That I'll bring back. Silver, that might be, I don't know, it's probably plated. Yeah, it's most likely plated. Still cool though. I'll put that in a box. Old hats. Old cowboy hat. Smith built Calgary. That's probably 40s or 50s. Yeah, so we're starting to get back into older things up in the attic here. Ladies' Journal, 1956. That gives you an idea about when things were packed away. Fabric or vinyl scraps. You really do have to check all these boxes out thoroughly. Like I said, I'm just kind of going through them quickly for today. I'll come revisit all this stuff later on. More old magazines. Looks like a rocket. Almost. Not sure what that is. Could have been a class project or something. Somebody watching will probably know and think I'm crazy. Old clothing. Books. Oh. Ooh. That's actually a nice little clock. That, I don't think it's Catalan. Actually, it might be early form of plastic. That's a good find. Out of the way for now. Get stuff out of here. Dipper. Okay. I've got some room to work. These boxes are really quite a variety. All sorts of different stuff in here. It doesn't feel like there was a rhyme or reason on how things were put away. Empty. The truth never hurts, unless it ought to. Well, that's true. Roach. Scoop sack that out of the way. I'm just being kind of nosy here, going through some older National Geographics. 1953. Oh, actually, those are in good shape. Those could be saved. More books. Okay, so future episode, we'll go through the attic really well. Get that old bike out of here. Some mid-century kind of wicker chairs. We'll get all this stuff out on a next trip. But for now, I'm going to take my little clock I got down. Bring that back with me this trip. Well, I'm going to level with you guys. I've had a pretty rough last hour. Was going well, loading up the van full of all the stuff that has to come back to the city. Reached in my pocket for the key for the van, and guess what wasn't there? The key. And one thing you don't want to lose inside of a hoarder house is your keys. So I've spent the last hour looking for my key. I've had no luck. I've been outside in the snow. I did slip and fall in the snow earlier. It's very icy, and it is minus 40 degrees Celsius outside. I don't know if you can tell, it's really cold in here too. Couldn't get the heat to work in the house. That's another issue. But I think if it fell outside, it has since snowed since then, and it is probably buried. So my only solution right now is to call a tow truck, get the vehicle towed back 300 kilometers, which is probably about 150 miles back into town, where they can cut a key for it, because they can't do it here. As it's a laser cut special key. Thank you, technology. It is what it is, but I am gonna try and keep my chin up. I'm gonna try and do some work. I've got an hour and a half wait for the tow truck because the weather is so bad. There's a really long wait for the tow truck. So I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna put my hat back on. That's why my hair is all crazy. Been working with my Elmer Fudd hat. And I'm just gonna work on clearing stuff out of the attic and make myself useful. It's an extra hour and a half of time, and worst case scenario, I get to meet a new guy. I'll get to know this tow truck driver really well on the 3-hour drive back home. So that's the update for right now, and can't believe that happened. Just not going great today, not going great.
But on the plus side, I have had a chance now to empty out some of the rooms, and this house is starting to look a lot more like a home again. With a little time next week, I should start to be able to think about some renovations, but for now, I'm going to start emptying the attic.
So while I'm waiting, I'm gonna go through some boxes. So far I found a bunch of Singer sewing machine parts, which makes sense because I found a bunch of Singer sewing machines. This is kind of an older. Well, it was packed away in 1977. Oh, well, Christmas came early. These are all glass Christmas ornaments, but very thin, they're breakable. They're fairly collectible. Pine cones. Okay, more ornaments. A lot of people like these early Christmas ornaments. They really don't make them like this anymore. So I'm gonna guess this is all Christmas decorations. These would probably date back to 40s through 60s, somewhere in there. Yeah, oh, okay, there's a whole bunch in there. There's little reindeer and Santa Claus. Well, that's a fun box. At least I'm passing the time by having a little bit of fun. More ornaments. Okay, well, this is a Christmas box. Pack that back up and take it back home. Hey, another box. This one's got some lampshades. Somebody was upset with me last time for throwing out a lampshade like this. It wasn't for the elephant lamp because the elephant lamp was never finished. It's just a lampshade frame. Honestly, I'm sure you could redo it. There's not a whole lot of value there. Fiberglass shades are a little bit more popular. This is mid-century modern. And I think I might have the base for that downstairs. So I'm going to keep these fiberglass shades separate because yes, people do buy those. It's another tattered frame. Lots of lampshades. This must be the lampshade box. Hopefully in the bottom here there's more than just lampshades. It's a really heavy box. I'll be surprised if there isn't something else in here. I'll dig through and see what there is. Just a box of cut up clothing and rags. Not even any full clothes in there, so I'm not probably gonna hang on to that stuff as it's all cut up and they're probably just gonna use it for quilting or scraps. Another box here. Got some, looks like helicopter propellers. Truck tire. Maybe there's gonna be some toys in here. Nope. Oh hey, I know what this is. This is the missing roof off of that truck I found the other day. That's fantastic. Well, that's one less piece I need. I'm gonna put that in my pocket for later. Let's see what else is in here. Maybe this will be clothing. Nice little, looks like a child's beaded belt. It's like a roll of old pennants. Golden Gate watch. Quite a few here, actually. California. Silver Lake. Cheyenne Frontier. So these are probably from the 50s. Those are good. Pictures to go back to the family. It's like a really old shirt. Always tell for looking at the label. Tab said, oh, it's a, maybe a uniform shirt. Thank you. There was a ladies' dress in here too. Superior Craft. Some buttons on it. Oh, it's a Noxzema bottle. Let's see what's in there. Coins. Mercury had dimes. Oh. See what year are these from? 38. Cool. It's officially nighttime. Tow truck should be here pretty soon. Just going through the last of these boxes before calling it a night. I feel like this one I saved because it's a little bit heavier. Unwrap that. Ooh, that's cool. That's really neat. Let's see. At one time they had it priced at $75. This is handmade. Could be one of hers. That kind of makes sticking around worthwhile. I'm going to pack that with me. Oh, that's going to come today. So that happened. But we're here at the dealership. They're going to cut a key and I'll be back on the road for no time. Next morning, I'm at the dealership getting the key cut. I don't know whether it was the fall on the ice or something else maybe that made me lose the key, but either way it's going to be fixed here soon. I have about 3 hours to get it back to the dealership, so hopefully I've got enough time to get the key, get the van, unload it, and then get back home and drop it off before I have to get to work. Plus I open in a few hours too, so it's going to be a busy morning. I have never been happier to get a key back for a vehicle in my life. I have just a couple hours. It took them a little while to get it going, but we have the van back. I've got gas in the tank. I have to go unload all that stuff and then fill it up with gas and return it. So, and we still have to open in about an hour and a half, so I gotta hustle. I am back, I'm safe, the rental van is returned, all is well in the world again. And what an adventure that was. I think the slip on the ice probably made the key go flying out of my pocket or out of my hand, and that's probably when I lost it. But when it's snowing, you know, it makes it very difficult to find things. So we had it towed to the dealer, they cut a new key, and we were golden, had it returned on time as well, so that worked out pretty good. We found all sorts of neat stuff in the house this time, but the main reason for going was to try and get the heater going. Now, when I left, the furnace guy couldn't get the heater started because the furnace was actually so cold that it couldn't start. So we set a heater up on it overnight, and he just phoned me a few minutes ago and said it's working, the furnace is on in the house. So next time I go back in, it will finally be warm, and I won't have to freeze my butt off working inside. Now, I did also come across some really cool things, so let me show you what we got. One of my finds was kind of a surprise. At the bottom of a box of newspapers, surprise, there was a little box from an old department store, which is now out of business, called Woodward's, and inside was this. Now, at first I thought, well, it's definitely indigenous of some sort, but it ends up being South American in Peru, and this is a figural drinking vessel. So it would be, you could drink it with the spout, or you could pour it out of the eyes and the mouth. Now, it's hugely old, and what it's doing here, I have no idea. I mean, it would make sense to me that she would have picked this up because having an interest in pottery, she probably collected this on one of her adventures and thought it was neat. But to find something like this in Canada just goes to show you could find just about anything. And, you know, for all I know, this could have been accidentally thrown out or stepped on, but somehow it survived. Now, from what I understand, these drinking vessels often depicted someone in the village, an actual person, and they would highlight sort of deformities that that person had, whether it was a hair lip or, you know, a droopy eye or something. In this case, it looks like this guy's got no nose, so I'm not sure if that's what he actually looked like, but if so, that would definitely get your attention, seeing this guy walk around your village. Don't know I'd want to be drinking out of basically his neck, but a cool piece and a really cool find. And the mission this time, as you recall, was to bring back as much of the clothing as we could. I still have to sort it, but I did find this. I'll give you a little bit of a closer detail. These are ladies' Edwardian shoes. Now, surprisingly, the leather is still really soft, like a brand new pair of shoes. These are from around 1900. They're in fantastic shape, and I would say they're probably about a 7.5 or 8. So it's kind of a modern size that a lady could wear nowadays. But if you look at the bottom of the soles, they're hardly used at all. And they come from a company called Yale Shoes, which was located in my hometown of Edmonton, back around 1900, around the turn of the century. So surprising find. You just don't know what you're gonna find inside of a house like that. So far, the gamble of buying this place has really paid off. And the house itself is starting to come along too. So we've got heat, we've got power. After the house heats up enough, I can actually start thinking about doing plumbing. So things are coming along really nicely. So as always, appreciate you guys coming along on these adventures with us. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You can check us out online at curiosityedmonton.ca. We're on Facebook and Instagram under Curiosity Inc. And we look forward to hearing from you guys soon. So thanks so much, and we'll see y'all soon. Bye for now.